Well, continuing with the previous class, we come to the advanced details. These options that we will see here are not mandatory, which means that it is not necessary to configure them to launch the instance as such. However, it is good to know what each of these options are for. So, the first option is Domain Join Directory. This option allows you to join your EC2 instance to a directory defined in AWS Directory Service. This service allows you to create a Microsoft Active Directory in the AWS cloud. The next option is IAM Instance Profile. This option allows you to attach an IAM instance profile, also known as an IAM role, to your EC2 instance. By default, the EC2 instance does not have permissions to access other AWS services. By attaching an instance profile or role, you can provide permissions to the instance to access other services. You can attach it at the time of launching an instance, and you can also attach it after the instance has been launched. We'll talk more about this later. The next option is the host name type. This option determines the type of host name that will be assigned to your EC2 instance. It basically determines whether your EC2 instance will have an IP name or a resource name assigned as host name. These host names can be of two types, IP name and resource name. Therefore, when the host name type is set to IP name, the private IPv4 address of the instance is included in its host name. On screen, you will be seeing an example of the format in the US East 1 region. And when set to resource name, the EC2 instance ID is included in the host name. On the screen, you will see an example of the format in the US East 1 region. For the time being, I will leave it as default. The next option is Automatic Instance Recovery. With this option, your EC2 instance will automatically recover if any of the system health checks fail. An instance becomes inaccessible when the underlying physical hardware fails, or if there is a problem that requires AWS intervention to repair. In such situations, the instance is automatically recovered. In shutdown behavior, this option determines what happens to the EC2 instance when a shutdown command is issued from the operating system. Will the EC2 instance be stopped or terminated when you shut it down from the operating system? For example, when you click the Start menu on a Windows computer and issue the shutdown command, depending on the option selected here, that instance will be shut down or terminated. The next option refers to the hibernation behavior. Hibernation causes this state of the EC2 instance to be saved. Thus, when you restart the instance, it is restored to its previous state. This is different from stopping and starting your EC2 instance, which causes the instance to lose its state. With hibernation enabled, your instance will recover the previous state. One important thing to note is that the hibernate setting can only be configured at instance launch time. If this option is not enabled here, you will not be able to hibernate your EC2 instance. The following two options are similar: termination protection and stop protection. When termination protection is enabled, the instance cannot be terminated unless the protection is disabled. As you can imagine, this option can be very useful for mission-critical instances. With stop protection enabled, the instance cannot be stopped unless protection is disabled. The next option is Detailed CloudWatch Monitoring. By default, Basic monitoring is automatically enabled and collects usage metrics at 5-minute intervals. With detailed monitoring enabled, metrics are collected at 1-minute intervals, and this comes at an additional cost. The next option is Elastic GPU. It is related to Amazon Elastic Graphics. Amazon Elastic Graphics provides low-cost graphics acceleration for Windows instances. AWS has a separate family of instances for graphically intensive workloads, but they can be quite expensive. Instead, for workloads that only require a small amount of additional graphics acceleration, the Elastic GPU option is a good choice. This option only works with Windows MS. So, if you try to use this option without a Windows AMI, you will see an error message. Therefore, I will leave it as it was. There are other options that are important for you to know, but we will continue it in the next class.